Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. We're at part 2 of the Mega Man 3 Let's Play. So we're continuing on with the second half of the Robot Masters that we have left for this game, and we are starting off this part with Shadow Man. Now, why Shadow Man? Well, because the last weapon we got from Top Man was the Top Spin, a weapon that Shadow Man is afraid of. Unfortunately for us, Top Spin is probably one of the worst weapons in the history of the franchise. So what does it do? Well, it's something you can only activate in midair, I believe. I never tried working on the ground because I don't often pick Top Spin for whatever fucking reason. But what it does is that when you activate it, Mega Man does a spin. Like a little dancing spin in midair. It is a very close range attack. So close that more often than not, Mega Man will hurt himself before he actually does damage to the enemy. It is so unreliable, and in the NES version, it uses up a lot of ammo for all the wrong reasons. You know, I think it's fixed in the Wily version, the Wily Wars version, and the Anniversary Edition, but it usually only takes one unit of weapon energy to activate Top Spin. But for some reason, while Mega Man is coming into contact with an enemy during a Top Spin, it decides to use up a fuckload of ammo. You probably only get like 2 or 3 Top Spins no pun intended, before you run out of ammo. It's dumb. It is such a dumb weapon, and I'm only going to use it 2 times this entire playthrough. One for Shadow Man, and one for later down the road, when I need to use it again. But we're going to talk about Shadow Man, the stage itself. You have these sections here that we saw earlier, where I used the rush jet to completely ignore all that, because you have these enemy projectors that like to darken the room, or at least emit a projection of space so you can't see the level design at all. Normally, you don't have to worry about what's below you because there's no bottomless pits in that area. Off the top of my head anyway, because I kind of forget what I'm doing when I'm ignoring everything with Rush Jet. It's so easy to do, and it's so easy to exploit Rush Jet because the trick I was talking about last part that you can do with Rush Jet. Now remember what I said. Rush Jet only uses ammo as long as you're standing on the jet itself. However, if you constantly jump while using Rush Jet, you keep your forward momentum so you don't stop in midair, and you don't use up any ammo. So, to get the most out of your Rush Jet, get on it, start moving forward, and just constantly jump. You will travel enormously far distances with that thing. It is disgusting, but I love it so. So this is Shadow Man, a Robot Master that if you're not using the Top Spin for, is probably one of the most difficult Robot Masters in the entire game, if only because he is very agile. His Shadow Blade knows no mercy, and I think he also has a slide maneuver too. Very fucking fast. And unfortunately, his weakness is the Top Spin. You have to get real close to him, and since he has so much maneuverability, you not only gotta deal with the problems Top Spin has, but you also gotta catch up to the guy, and it's not a fun time. But I can safely say that is the hardest part of the game when it comes to fighting the 8 Robot Masters, and we got Shadow Man's weapon, Shadow Blade, which is a watered down version of Metal Man's Metal Blades from Mega Man 2, but they are still a fantastic weapon. You can only shoot in 6 directions with this weapon. You can only shoot straight left, straight right, straight north, and northwest, and northeast. You can't shoot diagonally downwards, and you can't shoot straight down with Shadow Blades, but that's still a major distance to cover, and they're really good for aerial enemies, such as this guy right here. There you go. See, it's simple as that. Shadow Blade, not as useful as Metal Blades, but they're still a kick-ass weapon in their own right. But now, with Shadow Blades in tote, we can go after Spark Man. I love Spark Man's theme. Just want to say that right now. Mega Man 3's soundtrack is not my favorite of the series. It still doesn't compare to Mega Man 2 because Mega Man 2 not only had really good tracks, but they had a lot of good tracks. Mega Man 3, when I like a track, it's A+, no doubt, but it doesn't have as many. But with that said, Spark Man's theme is so great. And I had an absolute orgasm when I heard the remix in Super Smash Bros. 4. Can't wait for that game to come out, by the way. But we're going to talk about Spark Man and the stage itself here. If you're going the way I do, assuming you're not going like a Buster only run, which is something I still have yet to do in any Mega Man game, you should have all of your rush adapters at this point. You should have Rush Jet to get past those tricky platforming sections with bottomless pits and these hazards, the electricity and shit like that. And, if you know how to utilize your weapons appropriately, then nothing in this stage should ever give you an issue. Search Snake for grounded enemies, Shadow Blade for aerial enemies, it's all good and stuff. These heaps of junk here can have items inside if you want to shoot them, but they'll always materialize when there's nothing there in the first place. So you can farm those potentially for a little bit if you really need to. I often just like to ignore them because, you know, I ain't nobody got time for that, ladies and gentlemen. Now these little red platforms with the arrow sticking out that I'm ignoring, they react to Mega Man standing on them. So the moment you stand on them, they like to go up. So the trick to using those is to, you know, get a good height and then jump off them at the right time. And that's pretty much all she wrote. But now our next Robot Master up to bat is Sparkman, who really hates Shadow Man's Shadow Blades, as you can see. Booyah. Simple as that. I believe Sparkman also has a certain weakness to the needles cannon. Let me look that up real quickly just to make sure, because I recall fighting him with the needle cannon before, or it could be just because it does. No, it just says no, it just says Shadow Blade, huh? Well, I could have sworn that needle cannon did 2 points of damage to Sparkman, but in terms of what the Robot Master does himself, he likes to, you know, when he's not jumping around like every other Robot Master does in this game, he likes to shoot either a miniature spark shot at you, or he likes to charge up for a big one. The big one's a bit hard to avoid, but Sparkman, you know, the hardest part about Sparkman is just getting a good vantage point to constantly shoot him, because remember, your energy pellets can go through walls and shit like that. So you have to utilize that to your advantage. You should be fine. So we got his weapon though, which is the spark shot. It's pretty simple. It's just a little spark ball that Mega Man shoots. It's not as fast as the regular Mega Buster, but whatever it's weak to, it packs a punch with. I'm not going to be using that often though, folks, to be perfectly frank here. But Magnet Man enemies, no, we should be talking about Proto Man here. Proto Man, I mean, this is all he does. He just jumps around like a goddamn moron, and you know, he just doesn't seem to know proper self-defense. He has a shield, but he doesn't know how to, you know, shield both ends. But that's all you got to do. I mean, you just jump with him to shoot him in the back constantly, slide under him when he's about to change directions, and you'll be fine. We're all fine. Now, Magnet Man stage, there are 2 instances where you have to deal with disappearing, reappearing blocks, because that's what everyone asked for to return in this game. And it's right here. Oh, no, it's not right here exactly. But, you know, that's what the Rush Jet's for, ladies and gentlemen. And I can't imagine what the developers are going through when they were developing Rush Jet. I mean, was it simply for the catharsis factor? Did the developers have a hard time with the games they developed back in Mega Man 1 and 2? It's like, you know, these disappearing reappearing blocks are giving me a lot of shit, but we can't get rid of them because of contractual disputes with Capcom. So we're going to make an adapter that can completely bypass them, because fuck you, I'm KG in a Fude. And here we are. Look at these disappearing reappearing blocks. Disappearing, reappearing blocks. We don't have to deal with them anymore because we have Rush Jet. Love you, Rush. But that is probably the biggest obstacle with Magnet Man stage. I mean, we had a few enemies in the beginning of the stage where they can pull Mega Man up through the power of magnetism, but you should have Shadow Blade at this point in time, so you can be able to get the shot on them real easily. And even then, you can ignore them easily, just by holding right and, you know, keep going forward, because they only grab you in their magnetic pull for like a split second before they let you go. So not really much of a threat altogether. But we are just about at the end here, folks. Our next Robot Master to destroy is Magnet Man. A Robot Master that I don't think is that bad when you're just going after the Mega Buster alone. But we have this weakness to Spark Shot regardless. It takes about 5 shots, I believe. So he jumps to the left, he jumps to the right, shoots 3 Magnet Missiles. Pretty easy to avoid. You don't have to be anywhere near that. Look at this, that's pretty easy stuff to avoid. But every once in a while, he likes to break from the pattern and likes to magnetize himself, which can draw Mega Man in, as you saw. But that's all he does. He can actually be pretty easy to take out with a Mega Buster by himself. So in case you don't want to go after Snake Man, or you don't want to go after Top Man, go after Magnet Man. You're going to have to deal with the disappearing, reappearing blocks because you probably won't have Rush Jet. But, you know, if you want that Magnet Missile early, go right ahead. I don't use the weapon that much because if I'm going to take care of aerial enemies, I just stick to the Shadow Blades. But, you know, it might be. Magnet Missile has its uses, but not as many as other weapons in this game in particular. So our final Robot Master of this game is Hardman. Hardman, I think, is buddy buddies with Gutsman. They have similar themes, you know, construction work and stuff like that. I think I recall hearing at some point it's like at a knowledge base or something like that. And, well, you know, a hard man stage is not as bottomless pit heavy or spike heavy as Gutsman stage. There's none of those annoying platforms, you know the ones I'm talking about, the ones that go like you have to jump over at proper times in order to avoid falling down at the speed of sound. And, you know, thinking back, a Hardman stage is not that very interesting. There's just something about it, you know, thematically, I don't think anything really pops up. I mean, the rock textures look a little nice. The pixel art looked a little better than the pixel art we had in a Gutsman stage. But that's all this stage has going for it, I think. Yeah, these rocks. That's all I'm going to give Hardman for, these rocks. The enemy selection, nothing we haven't faced already before. We got these monkeys that like to... Oh, they always start their attack pattern by jumping up to the ceiling. You should have Shadow Blade at this point, so give them a good Shadow Blade before they decide to run amok like that and cause some damage. Yeah, but as you can see, I mean, not very interesting going on here. The construction me tools, I mean, whoop-de-doo. I fought like 6 of you guys already in not only Needleman stage, but possibly, I think Top Man stage also had a few of them. And even then, there's like so many of them in Top Man stage, it caused a heavy amount of sprite flickering that thankfully you can turn off in like the Anniversary Collection. And look at that, it just gave me another energy tank. An effortless E-tank. I think the only time Mega Man 2 ever did that, off the top of my head, was in Flashman stage, the very first stage I ever played in that game. And well, even then, that's not. I wouldn't really so much call that E-tank effortless, because you do have to maneuver through some tricky platforms with ice physics. But in Mega Man 3, they really just like to hand them out to you. And you know, I think I may have mentioned it earlier, and if I did, then I apologize for being redundant. You can hold up to 9 energy tanks in this game, folks. Unlike Mega Man 2, where you only allowed 4, which you most likely only used all 4 in Wily Fortress Stage 3. Fuck you, Boo Beam Trap. But, you know, Mega Man 3 removed that cap, and now you can carry a total of 9. Well, I don't think you would ever need 9 E-tanks at all for Mega Man 3. But, you know, they did that. It's always nice. In case you really like to stock up on those things, whether it be level design or mystery tanks if you're lucky enough. But we have Hardman here. Hardman likes to jump left and right like a lot of other Robot Masters. He likes to shoot 2 hard knuckles that either like to retract back to him, or they can just go off screen. They're not that hard to avoid, but be on the lookout because he does fire 2 of them. But he's weak to Magnet Missile. A few shots will do him good, and that's it, folks. I'll be aware of his stomp attack too. I like to stun Mega Man if he's on the floor when he contacts on the ground. But by defeating Hardman, we get his weapon that we just saw earlier, the Hard Knuckle. Powerful stuff, very slow though, so you have to have good timing and aim with that. But that's it. We defeated all 8 Robot Masters, folks. So now we're going to... Well, I don't know what we're going to do next, because Wily hasn't exactly betrayed us yet. Oh, here we go. It looks like we're not exactly done here, folks. I'll see you guys for part 3 of the Mega Man 3 Let's Play. See you guys then.